Alright, so big things have happened in this snapshot. It's 25W04A. Look, I'm just going to go over two things here. I have a crafting table here, which I think a lot of you guys will be interested in, as well as the movement nerfs that you may already know. Mojang have reverted the slew of movement changes from 2 snapshots ago and many snapshots prior. Basically, what I've been doing this whole time is testing out whether block hitting is a thing, because you can now do this. I'm blocking with my sword. Yeah, I'm going to show you how this works. This is 25W04A. You can see that the front page picture is a guy blocking with an iron sword. It doesn't look like they're blocking, but they are. The perspective's a little bit strange given that it's not 1.8 anymore, but I think if you're a traditional 1.8 PvP enjoyer, you may end up approving a lot of the things here. First, the movement changes. After consideration, we have decided to revert both fixed bugs. While we do want to revisit these mechanics in the future, it's clear that these recent fixes alone didn't quite hit the mark and caused too many negative side effects for parkour, speed bridging, and movement in general. So they do acknowledge these communities, parkour, speed bridging. I won't waste too much time here because speed bridging itself is a very muscle memory timing thing, and immediately you will be able to recognize that the timing has been reverted. It's not as slow. Pressing down and right is now fast again. Okay, I fell, but I'm down to 5 blocks. I was commentating over that. It's not really easy. But if I'm going to lambast Mojang, it's just as important to acknowledge that Mojang does listen to us. However selective their hearing is, they have reverted these changes, which is a very positive impact. So that in itself is not very scientific, but you can simply shift and press up and right with the rotation corrected, and you can see the timer on the right hand side scoreboard. After the changes, it was over 1,000 ticks to get from where I was to that corner command block. I'm referencing an experiment that I did in the previous video talking about these things, but you can see it's clearly not going to be above 1,000 ticks to get to that command block. I'm going to be back to 774 ticks, which was exactly what it was before the fixes were produced. It's back to 774. All is well and good. All right, so without further ado, let's go over sword blocking. So this is something that you can now do with commands, unfortunately. And I think if I'm going to be realistic about this, I think this is the way it's going to be. I don't see them ever introducing this back into the fold because of shields. I'll restart this whole process. So I've got some sticks here and diamonds here. I'm going to craft a diamond sword, which now has the ability to block. If you don't believe me, if I craft it, I can simply switch over to the sword and I'm going to block with the sword. So this is just an automated process that I wrote with a data pack. I'm not going to run too many commands here in game, but if I also give myself some fackles and put them in my offhand, right clicking will prioritize the blocking with my sword and not placing down torches. So which is why this is not going to be a thing, but if you are an enjoyer of 1.8 PvP, this is certainly something you may want to look into. This is your basic shaped crafting recipe for a diamond sword, #XX, the pattern for the diamond sword, and what's controlling this blocking is your components right here. So once you have your result count, which is 1 diamond sword, you can't stack this any higher. You have 3 basic components which control blocking. There are more, but these are the 3 basic components which I find to be most appropriate. So damage reduction, you've got a list here of damage types, which I would assume are the same damage types which are as used in the /damage command. So you can see damage type. You can look at it on the wiki, just look over here. I think most people will just use mob attack for PvE and for PvP player attack. Item damage here is the amount of damage that your sword or your shield, I guess, will take every time you block. And then your block sound, which can be anything you want from the play sound list. This I think is the funniest. I did this on Twitch. But anyway, let's run through this. So we've got your diamond sword here, which has been componented with the crafting recipe. Otherwise, if you want to, you can do something like this. But here we go. Today time, I'm going to use a spider and not a zombie. I'm going to hit the spider, and then as it approaches me, I'll block. You can see I'm taking absolutely no damage because I am blocking, and the sword is playing its little sound, and the sword is taking damage because it is blocking the attack. Now, the factor I put is 0.9, which is why I'm taking very little damage, but I am eventually going to take damage, and then I can hit, and you can see how much damage the sword has taken. 61. And that's because the base damage is 2, so it's taking 2 hits of damage each time I'm blocking, and the factor is 0.9, which is why the damage reduction is so high. So if I reduce this to 0.1, and let's make this 20, which is a very high number, put this away. I'm going to need to craft another one. Let's summon another spider and hit. I am eventually going to die. The reduction is not enough, and but hit. That spider deserves to live after what it did. Now, because this is an item component, you can apply blocks attacks to any item you want. Gegi here provided an example with a pufferfish blocking attacks from an iron golem, which failed miserably, but still works. If you have some torches, blocks, attacks, it does something funny. Some people suggested it looked like you were smoking. I'm just holding a microphone. And obviously with the pickaxe, I'm mining myself. So let me go over here, which I think still has a Thorns prick. Oh. Yeah, so I'm obviously blocking everything now. Is that gonna... Yeah, that blocked that too. I think I did a universal coverage of the damage types in this one. I can run a tick rate of about 2000. Yeah, that's what I did all stream. Here is the ghast screaming. Come at me. And here is a goat screaming. Did you just phase through the wall? I mean, you can do any sound you like. This does sound rather appropriate to the tool though. And then there's this one. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'll run through the snapshot in more detail next week, but hopefully this helped you out. Enjoy this sound. I hear it's rather satisfying. I think.